The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, UNU Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sports Insider. My name is Glenn Spillman, and you are listening to us on Armed Radio out of Boston, Massachusetts. Well, Armed Radio is in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm here in sunny California, and Armed Radio is being aired 60 countries. So I hope all you 60 countries around the world are going to be ready for some awesome freaking sports talk, because I am, without sounding narcissistic, am one of the premier sports talks on the entire world of radio, because I give you raw information. I give you true information. I give you some colorful information. Terminator 2030, welcome to the show. We've got two cameras in front of us, one Periscope, one Facebook Live. And people can listen to us on the radio, they can watch us, they can ask questions, they can make comments, and I encourage all comments. We are on Armed Radio every single Wednesday and Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. We got Casey Spears tuning in on Periscope. Thank you for tuning in, Casey. And if you guys want to follow us on Facebook, we've got Sports Insider Online. Someone says Lonzo Ball and LeBron had quite a convo. Okay, good. So we will answer your questions. If there's any subject matters you want us to talk about in future shows, just give me an email and I will make sure 100% that will happen. And I will let you guys know right now that we like to talk about things that spark interest. We just don't regurgitate information. We just don't spit out numbers. Now, we give you some numbers, but we just don't spit out numbers. We're not regulated by anybody, so we get to, I'm not being told, nah, don't talk about that subject, or don't talk about that, or whatever. So that's one thing I like about Armed Radios. Because I got me on set right here, a nice cold freaking mug full of cerveza. So I will take a little drinky poo tonight. Okay, so sports. What's going on in sports? Well, you got the Oklahoma City Thunder beating Philadelphia 76ers 90-83. Someone says a Sports Insider drinking beer. PF is this. Did you get the W? Yes, I'm drinking beer. Abso-freaking-lutely. And it is a, let's see here, 8.1% beer on top of that. Cheers to you, buddy. So, some interesting stuff going on. I'll wait to see if Brian Moore comes on here. Brian Moore is the owner of Legends of the Cage, and we are going to be doing a documentary with him. I won't go too far into it because I don't want to give away too much, but we're doing. Someone says a cold beer in December. Sheath. Hey, you know what? Just a couple weeks ago, I was in San Diego doing a show there, and it was 88 degrees when I went on air. So we don't have cold here in California like people elsewhere in the world or in the United States. Misconduct has been going on in the news for quite some time. It started with Hollywood and those jackholes there, but it has seeped its way through into the sports world in many occasions. So Panthers owner Gary Richardson is under investigation for workplace misconduct. So is there different misconduct that you could do? You got workplace, you got play place, you got home place, whatever. Anyway, Richardson is 81 years old. Let's think about that for a moment. First off, he's 81. He may not even be in his right mind half the time. I'm not condoning his actions if they are in fact true. But think about where this guy has come from, all this stuff. He's just a horny little old man, whatever. And so, here is a direct quote. I love quotes. Here we go. The Carolina Panthers and Mr. Richardson take these allegations very seriously and are fully committed to a full investigation and taking appropriate steps to address and remediate any misconduct. The entire organization is fully committed to ensuring a safe, comfortable, and diverse work environment where all individuals, regardless of sex, race, color, religion, gender, or sexual identity or orientation, are treated fairly and equally. We have work to do to achieve this goal, but we are going to meet it. End quote. Well, isn't sex and gender kind of there's the same thing, you know? I mean, race, color, religion, of course. This is such a canned freaking statement. It bores me. But yes, you should have a safe environment, but what is this? Anymore these days, you can't even tell a woman, or a man for that matter, hey, wow, that dress looks pretty on you, or hey, man, that's a nice looking shirt or whatever, because that's going to be misconstrued as a sexual advancement. I'm sorry, but that's... You know, I had a friend of mine just not even an hour and 10 minutes ago come up, put his face close to me, smells me, and says, wow, you smell good. What are you wearing? Well, if I was in a workplace, would I be all of a sudden going, oh my God, you just, you know... I took it as a compliment. I smell good. I know I freaking smell good. And I'm wearing a certain cologne that is, it smells quite good, and but most people would consider that sexual misconduct, sexual advancement. I take it as a compliment. What happened to where you could pay someone a compliment without them going, oh my God? So I'm thinking, you know, now, it'd be different if he said, hey, you smell good, and slapped me on the butt. But even then, I'd probably make a joke out of it. But this guy's being investigated for misconduct. How many more of these allegations are going to come out? Because you got opportunists out there. Opportunists want their 15 minutes of fame. You know, I can come out. I've been to tons of Hollywood parties. I've been to tons of sports parties. And I can go and be like, oh, I remember, 25 years ago, that person made this advancement towards me. And I would get in the news, and reporters would ask me questions. I'd get my 15 minutes of fame for what? Really, seriously, and I said this before, who cares? It happened 25 years ago. Who freaking cares? I'm sorry. But if someone said, oh, wow, you got a nice pair of tits 25 years ago, I'm sorry. So what? It's a compliment. Maybe they said it crudely, but I mean, still. But 25 years ago was a different time. 30 years ago was a different time. Everything today, politically correct, politically correct, politically correct, politically correct. So earlier, someone mentioned the LeBron and Lonzo Ball. So, conversations between LeBron and Lonzo reveals the Cleveland Cavaliers told the Los Angeles Lakers rookie to find his, and I put this in quotes, zone and stay locked in. but to keep their talk private. And here's a direct quote. Find your zone and stay fucking locked in, James said on the court after pulling his jersey over his mouth. And this is a continuation of the quote. The media is going to ask you what I told you right now. Tell them nothing. Just be aggressive every single day. It's white noise to you. That's all it is. All right, let's go. End quote. Now, have we come to a point in life to where we have to make this big news? Who freaking cares? I don't care what he said to Lonzo. I'm only bringing it up because some knucklehead did on a freaking Periscope TV side. I don't care if Lonzo said what to LeBron or what LeBron said to Lonzo. Who cares? And if it's a pity that we have to be talking about, oh wow, LeBron said this. So what? There's so much stuff said on the court that that it would kind of blow your mind at some of the stuff that is said, some of the trash talk that is said. But as promised, I told you guys on Wednesday that we were going to go over the parlays for the weekend. And I will go over each of those parlays. No, first off, scratch that. I will go over each game and tell you who I think is going to win. And then I will give you some parlays. So, you've got the Bears 4-9, Lions 7-6. Now, Lions do need to win this game. They are at home. They're fighting for a playoff berth. Got the Bears, who are 4-9 and have absolutely nothing to gain. Nothing. But they want to win the game only to put the Lions at 500 at 7 wins and 7 losses. Because what a losing team wants to do to any other team is to be a thorn in their side. So the Bears are going to be that thorn in the side to the Lions. So I'm going to take, even though the Detroit's favored by 4.5, I would take the Bears in the points. Chargers, Chiefs. Chargers have been balls to the wall all year long, and the Chiefs, they're both 7-6, so they both need this game. But at home, in my opinion, the Chiefs are going to step up a lot more than what they normally would. I wouldn't give the Chargers too much credence, so I'm going to pick the freaking the Chiefs over the Chargers in this game. There's 2 games I want to watch on Sunday, and this is one of them. The Dallas Cowgirls and the Oakland Raiders. Now the Cowgirls are 7-6, and the Raiders are 6-7. Now the Raiders can come to 500, 7-7. When you come into the black hole, I don't care who you are. It's going to be a tough game. The Raiders are going to play smash-mouth freaking football, and the Cowgirls are going to be shocked. They're going to lose that game. Dolphins, Bills. Buffalo's favored by 3. They are in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo's 7-6. Miami, again, the flip side, 6-7. But Miami is another one of those teams that all year long they have been a thorn in people's sides. All year long, they have been winning games that they should have lost. And the Bills have been winning games by the skin of their teeth. I'm taking Bills on this one. Ravens, Browns. The Ravens are going to slaughter the Browns. Bengals, Vikings. Minnesota's favored by 11. I would still take the Vikings on this one. Jets, Saints all day. Eagles, Giants. Eagles all day. Cardinals, Redskins, that's a throwaway game. Cardinals 6-7, Redskins 5-8. Neither one of these teams really has anything to gain. Possibly, slightly, barely the Cardinals. So I would take them. Packers, Panthers. I would take this because it's Aaron Rodgers' return game. Yeah, they're going to be careful and whatnot. But I would say for an upset game to take the Packers over the Panthers. Texans, Jaguars, Rams, Seahawks, take the Rams. Titans, 49ers. 49ers are 3-10. They're kind of on a roll, but I would still pick the Titans on this. The second game that I want to watch on Sunday, the Patriots, 10-3. Against the Steelers, 11-2. That is going to be a very good game. It's going to be raining, 44 degrees. There's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be passing more on the Patriots side than on the Steelers side. So, New England's favored by 3 points on this. So, I would go for the Patriots on this. So, if you want a 3-team parlay, this is what I would do. Take the Ravens over the Browns. Take the Saints over the Jets. Eagles over the Giants. And Patriots over the Steelers. That's more than 3 teams, but take those and run with them. 53 seconds left in the game. Philadelphia has tied it 94-94. So, yeah, have a little game here. So, those are your parlays. And I'll talk real quick. I know this is a sports show, but a big movie came out tonight. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I'm going to try and go see that tonight. There are theaters playing it all the way up till 12:45 in the morning. So it'll start at 1 and it'll end about 3:30 in the morning. And that might be the one I'm going to. I don't know yet. But it will be quite interesting. So for those of you who haven't seen it yet, go see it. Anyway, it's a piece of nostalgia. So, back to sports. Now, let's go to NCAA football. Keeping with the tune of football. There are a lot of obscure bowl games that I think are absolutely freaking ridiculous. But it is, 6:20 my time. It is 8:20. So basically 5 hours and 40 minutes. Is going to be one of our viewers that is watching right now. Her name is Casey Spears. Her birthday is tomorrow, the 16th. So she is going to be turning however old she is. So, all those on Periscope right now, wish her a happy birthday. Go on her Facebook page, Casey, Kasy Spears. Wish her a happy birthday. So, yeah. So, she is going to be 42 years old. I said it, Casey. I said it. So, some of the bowls. Starting tomorrow, you got Troy in North Texas. So what? You've got the Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Okay? Someone says go Sooners. Absolutely. Boomer freaking Sooner. Boise State, Oregon. Some of these bowl games, I will find... You. How do you get into a bowl game when you are a 500 team? You win 6 games, you lose 6 games, but you're getting into the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl. The Raycom Media Camellia Bowl. I was talking about that a couple weeks ago. How stupid of a freaking bowl is that? Anyone that has money, are you just going to be like, oh yeah, we'll name a freaking bowl after you, We're going to name, the Mad Dog 2020 Bowl. The Raycom Media Camellia Bowl. That sounds so fake. I wouldn't want to win that game. Yeah, we're champions, man, of the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl. So what? Middle Tennessee is 6-6. They won 6 games. They lost 6 games. I would be embarrassed as a player and as a school to freaking play in that bowl. I wouldn't freaking go. Because you're not a winner, brother. You are a 500 team. You're not a freaking winner. You don't have a winning season. Another 6-6 team. Louisiana Tech playing SMU in the DXL Frisco Bowl. Again, stupid. Another 6-6 team. Temple against Florida International. I mean, they'll let anybody. Yet again, another 6-6 team. We got Texas Tech 6-6 in South Florida in the Birmingham Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama. And I'm just going to keep going with the 6-6 teams. Utah against West Virginia. Utah, they've got them favored. Bullcrap. West Virginia's going to spank them. In the Zaxby's Heart of Dallas Bowl. That is so freaking stupid. You know? Duke, 6-6 in the Quick Lane Bowl. UCLA, 6-6 playing Kansas State in the Cactus Bowl. You've got Florida State, 6-6. Walk-Ons Independent Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. What the freaking crap? I mean, I would almost rather have a cattle prod in my anus than watch bullcrap games like this, man. That's just, it just blows my mind. Purdue, 6-6. Texas, down with the horns, suckers. Playing in the Academy Sports Outdoors Texas Bowl in Houston, Texas. 2 6-6 teams. 2 losers are playing in the Military Bowl. Navy 6-6 against Virginia 6-6. Someone asked, when is USC playing, which is University of Southern California. They're playing Friday, December 29th, at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl in Arlington, Texas, and they're going to be playing Ohio State. I'm sorry, but Ohio State's going to win that. If you're a USC fan, Ohio State's going to win that. Sorry. 2 more 6-6 teams playing. New Mexico State and Utah State in the Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. Bull crap. And then someone said Miami is trash. Well, they're 10-2. So Mr. or Mrs. Trash, who's your team? One of these 6-6 freaking douchebag teams? I'm not a Miami fan by any means of the imagination, but they're 10-2. If you're trash and 10-2, I'll freaking be 10-2 all day long. Zoltan Zorzi, welcome to the freaking show, brother. One more day, brother. You get to see your girlfriend tomorrow. I wish I had a freaking girlfriend I could see tomorrow. Damn it. Hey, anyone in this area wants to be my girlfriend tomorrow, just let me know.
I'm down.
And we'll have a beer together. All right. Now, you got my team, the Oklahoma Sooners. The reason why they're my team, so I went to freaking OU. They're 12-1, playing Georgia 12-1. A 10-2, playing a bunch of nobodies. Okay, 10-2 Miami, playing Wisconsin 12-1. I wouldn't call them nobodies. So you can have a glass of shut the hell up. So we've got Georgia 12-1. OU 12-1. Boomer Sooner, baby. They're playing in Pasadena, California. Guess who's going to be at that game? This guy right here. I will be at that game Monday, January 1st, watching OU play Georgia. Okay? That is the Rose Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. So you got someone says Wisconsin's overhyped. Let's talk about freaking Michigan. Michigan's overhyped. They're 8-4. They're in the Outback Bowl. UCF 12-0. How are you? This is another thing that pisses me off. I don't care who you are in college football, in Division I. If you are 12-0, yes, there are still tickets for the Rose Bowl. Yes, absolutely. But I don't have to buy tickets. I'm media. I get in for free. If you're 12-0, why are you ranked 12th? That's that. I know it's the BCS. I know that it's a bunch of bull crap. But UCF should be ranked higher than that. Then you have Alabama, Roll Tide, 11-1 against Clemson, 12-1. And I'm not an Alabama fan. I just say that. But Alabama's favored. I want to see Alabama lose. Nick Saban just pisses me off. He could be a prick to the media. He's just kind of a grumpy old man that has his freaking balls crunched in a vice, and he's just a pissant half the time. So I hope Clemson freaking wins. And I hope Clemson wins on the last play of the freaking game, and Alabama will go back home with their tails between their legs and sit and watch the national championship on Monday, January 8th, which happens to be, for those of you who are Elvis fans, Elvis Presley was born January 8th, 1935. Elvis Aaron Presley. His brother came out first, Jesse Garin, but he died. And so that's going to be Elvis's birthday, I think. So 1935, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he'd have been what? Old. We'll just say that. He's old. So there are some interesting games. There's probably only all of those games that I just mentioned. There's probably 4 of them that I'm even remotely interested in. On that aspect. But OU is going to be my my favorite one. So, Carlos Santana. No, I am not talking about the freaking guitar player musician. Signing a significant step in the Phillies rebuild. Philadelphia Phillies are going to need more than just Carlos Santana. Any team, I don't care if you're the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, Chicago Cubs, the Los Angeles Dodgers, your crux of your roster is your pitching. You need ace pitching to win a game. Granted, you need to score runs, so you need good hitters as well. You need to stack up more on your pitching aspect than you need to do your position players. And you don't need to spend like $295,000 or $295 million on. I mean, look what they did to A-Rod. The Yankees did with A-Rod. They gave him what, like $250, $270 million on a contract. He did nothing for him after that. Nothing. I think that these players need to have performance-driven incentives. Meaning, all right, brother, you want to make a shite ton of money? I tell you what. You hit 30 home runs, I'm going to give you $1 million bonus. You get 150 hits, I'm going to give you a $3 million bonus. You get, we'll just say, 40 stolen bases. I will give you $10 million bonus. You make them performance-based because most of these players, and I've told you guys this before on the show, I have heard in the locker room. I asked this player, and these players, they say, my paycheck is the same no matter if I win or no matter if I lose, I still get the same paycheck. But if you say, hey, you could have the potential of making $30 million this year, but you got to earn it. You got to do X, Y, and Z. Make it performance-based, you will get a better player. A pitcher. I will give you $1,000 for every strikeout you get. No, scratch that. Yeah, 100,000. I'm sorry, 1,000. And you will see the step up in performance. So for every home run that you hit past 30, I'll give you $2 million per home run. You know, or something like that. Or maybe, I'm sorry, maybe we'll just call it $1 million per. You'll start seeing, but if you lose, X amount of games, you'll get penalized this. Because baseball is one of the sports to where if you sign a contract for $295 million, you're going to get $295 million. In football, if you signed a $100 million contract, guaranteed that $100 or $100 million, you might be guaranteed $30 million, 40, 50, but the rest of it is based on performance. That's what these owners need to do. They need to have a clause in their contracts. If you get caught with a DUI, whatever you're making that year, you're forfeited. So if you're making $20 million, then if you get caught with a DUI, then all of a sudden you get the league minimum. You got to give all that money back. If you do a sexual abuse or domestic violence or anything like that, say you're 6 games in, you're suspended for the rest of the year. You don't get paid for those 10 games. You forfeit your freaking paycheck. It goes to a charity, the league minimum, and then the league gets back all that money. If you get caught for anything and get in trouble for anything, you should be penalized. Forget about talking to a lawyer. Forget about going to the Players Association and pissing and moaning until you get your way. Screw you. You need to be penalized. And again, performance-enhancing drugs, you know what? Why just screw it, dude? Let these guys do all the drugs that they want. You want to do steroids? Freaking shoot up. You want to do cocaine? Here, freaking do okay, maybe not cocaine. Whatever. Let them do whatever they want. If they want to destroy their life and body, so freaking what? But if they break the rules, penalize them. But I'm always a proponent. My dad asked me this the other day. He goes, son, I know you know a lot about steroids. Do you think steroid use is the same as a drug addict? And I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because they've used steroids for so many medical advancements. People with muscular sclerosis, people with vision problems, several ailments that they use steroids. If you take steroids in the proper manner and are regulated, so what? And I've said this, and I will say it again. I'm a betting man, and I will bet my next paycheck on it. At least 70% of the NFL football players are on steroids. 70%. Abso-freaking-lutely. They do it. Football turns a blind eye to most of it. I thought it was funny. I was talking to Joe Weider one time. Joe Weider, if anyone knows anything about bodybuilding or supplements, or Arnold Schwarzenegger or anybody, you will know who Joe Weider is. Joe Weider said, our guys are freaking clean. They don't do bullshit. They don't. Every single guy that you see in Muscle Mag and Iron, all this, Muscle and Fit, all this stuff. Steroids. You do not get that big You just freaking don't. So let these guys, you want to do steroids to do performance? Fine, go ahead and do it. Regulate it. Have a doctor watch and regulate. Let them freaking do it. Who cares? You're going to do it anyway. Another sport where steroids is prevalent is the UFC. Well, UFC is not a sport. I mean MMA and fighters in the UFC. We've got a lot of these guys. Now, there's many kinds of steroids. There's steroids that, there's catabolic, there's anabolic, there's all kinds of steroids. A lot of these guys do drugs far worse than steroids when they're cutting weights. Cutting weight is one of the most dangerous things that you could do, and guys are freaking doing it. And it's just a thing. It's just going to happen. And this cat that's been in the news, it's Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is always shooting off his mouth. He's always talking about boxing this, boxing that. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Dana White says he will not be boxing anyone. Well, if I was Conor McGregor, I would fight as quick as I could in the UFC, hit whatever, one or two more fights that he's under contract for, and I tell Dana to go suck it. Why? Because Dana White is trying to be the puppet master. If you got a fighter that wants to go box, let him do it. If Conor wants to get his ass kicked in the boxing ring, let him freaking do it. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said, what do you think, would happen between Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao? I said, dude, Manny Pacquiao would do worse things to him than freaking Mayweather did. Mayweather toyed with him a little bit. Pacquiao would knock the shite out of him and just beat him. And Manny Pacquiao, in fact, did reach out to Conor McGregor about an April boxing match. So you got January and March, so about 4 months from now. 4.5. And this is what Dana White alleged, saying that he would sue Manny Pacquiao if he had open talks with the Irish fighter who was under contract with the UFC. Now, see, here's the thing about that statement. Open talks with what? About hookers and freaking cocaine? Or just open talks about fighting? You can't sue anybody for that. Dana White, you can find a lawyer to fight it, but whatever. If I was Manny Pacquiao, I'd do it just to piss off Dana White. I got nothing against Dana White. I mean, sometimes he could be a certain way, but I bust his balls a lot on this show because I think it's funny, because some of the things that he does, got to talk about it. I mean, I'm not going to brown nose him or kiss his ass or anything, but there are just some things that Dana White thinks that he's just bigger than what he is. But Dana White also did this when the whole Floyd Mayweather, no, it ain't going to happen, no this, no that, no. Dude, Dana White in the UFC is the modern day freaking Real Housewives of the MMA, dude. It is a freaking daily soap opera to where these guys say one thing and do another. Dana White is getting his monologue from freaking people like, I'm not saying Vince McMahon is telling them what to say. I'm just saying Vince McMahon and the WWF and the WWE, it's all been a soap opera. It's all been scripted. It's all been written. Well, Dana White has taken a page from that, and he creates his own drama. He creates his own world, and most of the time, what he says, he does, and what he doesn't say does. So you don't know what the guy is going to do until he does it. So, back to the Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. So, 4.3 million domestic, just domestic, pay-per-view buys, $600 million in revenue. So, let's just say, for the sake of math, Floyd Mayweather gets 200, Conor McGregor gets 100, and everyone else gets $300 million to split amongst them. That's a shite ton of money. Now, Conor McGregor did make a good payday on that. Granted, I personally think that it was more about the money, and because if you watch the fight, he fights like a drunken monkey. I mean, he just does not know how to freaking box. If money is presented to Dana White will let Conor McGregor do whatever, because Dana White wants, well, anybody would want the money. Dana White wants that money. So, if the pot is sweetened just enough, Dana White will allow it to happen. That's just the way it is. And it's money talks. Let's just know that. What's the saying? Money talks and bullshit walks. That's the saying. In the UFC, you've got many different fighters from many different backgrounds that do many different things throughout their career, before and after. Well, I like to see success stories. I like to see guys come from an obscure or a torturous background and make something out of their life. Well, you've got welterweight Mike Perry. He, he's had an up and down type of life. And in life, you've got roads. And sometimes in roads, you come to a crossroad. You can go left, you can go right. Or you can turn around and go the opposite direction. You can't go straight. You got to go left or right. Well, one road's going to be positive, one's going to be negative, and the other one's just going to be failure because you're going to just turn and walk away. He had a troubled youth. He's spent his youth in Flint, Michigan. And around that area, there's nothing but trouble. There's been nothing but trouble for many, many, many decades. Someone asked if I bet on sports. Well, if you watch the show, you would know. Yes, I do, to answer your question. Blue Tick Cam, welcome to the show. He suffered as a kid. He went through adversity as a kid, but he comes up through the ranks, and now he's turning that into a positive. I like to see guys turn things into a positive. Blue Tick, you could direct message me on Facebook or on the Facebook page. I like to see that because they could use the hurts, the bad times in life in the octagon as a form of an aggression to take out your opponent. Absolutely. I like to see adversity overcome. I don't care who you are. I don't care what sports you're in. I don't care about any of that stuff. If you face adversity and you overcome it, I like to see that. Big Dog, welcome to the show. And I like to see the stories of where these fighters came from and where they are now. But anyway, UFC Fight Night, December 16th, which is tomorrow. Big Dog says, how about the Raiders losing on Sunday? Big Dog, put your money where your mouth is, brother. Let's do a little something on that. Are you a Cowgirl fan? Got your little pom-poms, going for your Cowgirls? Think the Cowgirls going to come into the black hole and beat the Raiders? I think that's funny. Someone says, Duh Bears. Blue Tick says, Cowboys to playoffs. Yeah, I don't know about that. But even if they do, they've never gone far in the playoffs. No, Blue Tick, you got to pay the bet that you lost. You can't let it ride. Martin says, am I a Raider fan? Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I am a Oakland Raider fan. Until they move to Las Vegas, then I'm going to have to question my sanity on that. EMU how, brother? I can't. Facebook me right now. Sports Insider Online. Go there, Sports Insider Online, and PM me through that. Anyway, I got sidetracked. The UFC Fight Night, Saturday, December 16th, which is Casey Spears' birthday. Again, I will say this. I've said this every fight. I will say this with this fight, and I will say this with every other fight going into the future. Watch the early prelims and watch the prelims in a fight card, because those will be some of the best fights that you're going to see, and I will tell you why. It's the same thing I always say. I'm going to say it again. We have these fighters that are trying to get on a main card. So they're going to try and impress, and they're going to do everything that they can to come up through the ranks. So you've got Jordan Mean, Young Gun, against Eric Silva, the Tiger, in the early prelim. So this is 1 o'clock Pacific time that this fight's going to be going on. Canada versus Brazil. These are going to be some good fights. All the prelims, early prelims, going to be good fights. On the prelims, you've got 5 early prelims. You have 2 fights. So, and you've got a local cat, a guy that I have seen, come up through the ranks, and I actually did a day in the life on him. You've got Josh Emmett, 12-1, and against Ricardo Lamas. He's called the Bully. Yeah, where you going to get your R's kicked that day, brother? Ricardo Lamas is 18-5. Josh Emmett is 12-1. Josh Emmett's cool cat, man. Cool cat. But one thing when I was interviewing him and covering him on that day, he puts butter in his freaking coffee. And I kind of busted his balls a little bit for that. But I tell you what, when I tried it, it's actually pretty freaking good. I forget how he made it 100%, but it was pretty good. So that is going to be my fight that I want to watch. I'm going to be excited about is the Josh Emmett fight on that. And wherever you live, whether no matter where it is, find out who your local, like here we've got GKO, we've got Gladiator Challenge, we've got West Coast Fighting Champions. Find out who the MMA people are around you, and go support those fighters, because these up-and-coming fighters are going to be the next ones going to the UFC, the next ones going to Bellator and whatnot. You're going to see guys come up from their first fight all the way, kind of like Josh Emmett, man, all the way to the UFC. And it's exciting to watch these guys grow. It's exciting to watch their improvements in the ring, and it's just a really cool thing to do and to observe. NBA action, you got the Thunder 76ers. It's in overtime, the second overtime. So Thunder's 109 to 76ers, or Thunder 111, 76ers 109. Blue Tick Hound asked a legitimate question. He said, are there any legitimate MMA fighters other than UFC? Well, I will say this. First off, yes. Second off, you can't think that the UFC is the end-all, be-all on MMA fighters. The UFC does not hold the monopoly on fighters or anything like that. Absolutely freaking not. You need to go to Bellator and look at their fighters and their fight cards. For instance, coming up January 20th at the Forum in Inglewood, California, you've got Rory McDonald against Douglas Lima. Douglas Lima is 29-6.
User in your channel timed out.
I would say this is what would be cool. Is get some of these cats on a card from both arenas, UFC and Bellator. Hit them against each other. But yes, Lima. To answer your question, I'm giving you one. Douglas Lima. And again, don't think that the UFC has all the top fighters. Blue Tick says, are MMA fights fixed like they are in boxing? Real quick, end of second overtime. They're going into a third overtime. Thunder 111, 76ers 111. Do I think some fights are fixed? Yes, and I'll tell you why. I believe, my personal opinion now, I believe that the judges are told, hey, if this fight goes to a decision, this person's going to win. You can score it however you want, but make sure this person wins if the fight goes into or goes to a decision. So yes, absolutely, I think they are and can be. Now, if you're talking about, do I think that, hey buddy, I need you to take a dive for me. I'm going to give you, I don't know, we'll just say $100,000. Well, think about it. First off, the UFC doesn't pay the majority of their fighters very well. Now, think about a guy that has a family, trying to put food on the table, and all this. Think about someone coming up to him and saying, hey, I will give you $100,000, make the fight look good, but you're going to lose. We'll hook you up later. I believe that amount of money, absolutely. I really think that someone would do that. So hopefully that answers your question. Hawks, 81, Grizzlies, 78, still 7:54 in the fourth. Now here's the team. You've got the Chicago Bulls, 7-20. I mean, that's got to be one of the suckiest suck records of all of Suckland. And you've got the Milwaukee Bucks, 15-11, but it's 84-84. The Milwaukee Bucks, for the past 3 years, has been that sole team in the NBA that could beat a champion. They were the first team to beat the Golden State Warriors. They're 15-11. You are going to have a team that, in my opinion,
Your channel timed out.
will never in the history of the world win a championship.
Entered your channel.
The Milwaukee Bucks. No. They're never going to win a championship. Ever. Clippers 11-16 lose to the Wizards. Celtics now lose to the Jazz. Raptors absolutely annihilated the Nets 120-87. So, a little bit, the Celtics have been slacking somewhat. The Cavaliers have just been on fire. They are 9-1 in their last 10 games on a 3-game win streak. The Celtics are 6-4. Now they're still 2 games ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers, but now granted, you can't win every game. I get that. But I've said this about the Celtics and the Cavaliers and the Warriors and whatnot. It's not about losing the game. It's about how you lose the game. And I can't go into my soliloquy about that because we've got about 1 minute left on the show. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Sports Insider on Arms Radio. We've been aired tonight in 60 different countries. I appreciate everybody's comments and questions. We're here every single Wednesday and every single Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. If you want to get a hold of me or ask me questions, Blue Tick Hound, go to sportsinsideronline.com. We'll see you next week. Have a good week.
Shit.